Well, hello and welcome. Again, good evening and welcome. Welcome everyone to this live telephone town hall meeting we have for you tonight with Shenandoah Valley Electric Cooperative, or SVEC. Again, hello and welcome everyone. You are live on the line with SVEC for our member telephone town hall meeting. We do these calls as a way to reach out to you and open up the conversation, provide information, and then hear from you. If you would like to join our meeting tonight with a question, comment, or concern, please press 0 on the keypad on your phone. Again, to get in line with your question, please press 0 on the keypad on your phone. We will be taking your questions live tonight during the event, but if you'd rather not go live, that's fine. Still press 0 to submit your question and just let your operator know you'd rather not go live. I'd be happy to read your question over the air. Also, a note tonight, please don't ask account-specific questions during this call. If you do have a question specific to your account or service location, we'd love for you to give us a call during regular business hours. I'll give you that phone number. It's 1-800-234-7832. But again, if you do have a general question about your co-op, please press 0 on the keypad on your phone. If you're just joining the call, you're live on the line right now with SVEC for our member meeting. We're dialing out to tens of thousands of members tonight, so please bear with me as I go through this introduction just a couple of times. Again, you're live on the line tonight with SVEC, and we have our president and CEO, Greg Rogers, standing by to answer your questions tonight. To get in line with your own question, please press 0 on the keypad on your phone. Again, good evening and welcome. I'm so glad you are all here. We'll get started here in just a few moments, but I want to welcome everyone to this live telephone town hall meeting we have for you tonight with your co-op, SVEC. Again, hello and welcome everyone. We are so glad you're here. You're live on the line with SVEC for our member telephone town hall meeting we have for you tonight. Now, we do these calls as a way to reach out to you and open up the conversation. So, if you would like to join our member meeting tonight with your question, comment, or concern, please press 0 on the keypad on your phone. We are taking questions live tonight, but if you'd rather not go live, that's fine. Still press 0 to submit your question and let your operator know you'd rather not go live, and I can just read your question over the air, whatever is more comfortable for you. Also, one note, tonight we're not able to take account-specific questions during a large forum like this. So if you do have a question that's specific to your account or service location, we'd love for you to give us a call during our regular business hours. We can manage it that way. I'll give you that phone number. It's 1-800-234-7832. But again, if you do have general questions about your co-op, we'd love for you to press 0 and submit those. We have our president and CEO, Greg Rogers, standing by to answer your questions. He's going to have a little bit of information up front, and then we'll get right to those. So again, to get in line with your own question tonight during our member telephone town hall meeting, please press 0 on the keypad on your phone. We already see folks taking us up on this, and this feature you can use throughout the entire forum tonight. So if you don't have a question right now and maybe you come up with one later, feel free to press 0 on the keypad on your phone at that point. So again, thanks everyone so much for your patience. It takes just a little while to get all of our members connected to the line, and we'll officially begin here in just a moment. I'm just going to go through this introduction one more time. So again, good evening and welcome. If you are just joining the call, we're so glad you're here. Thanks to all of those of you who have been on with us for a few moments for your patience. Again, if you're just joining, you're live on the line tonight for our SVEC member telephone town hall meeting. And we are so glad you're all here. We'll get started here in, just about 1 minute. We do these calls as a way to reach out to you and open up the conversation, and we want to hear from you tonight. So if you'd like to join us with your question, comment, or concern, just press 0 on the keypad on your phone to submit your question. Again, to get in line with your question, just press 0. We are taking questions live tonight, but if you'd rather not go live, still press 0, submit your question, and just let your operator know you'd rather me read your question over the air. Also, one note here, we can't take account-specific questions during a large forum like this. So if you do have a question that's specific to your account or service location, we'd love for you to give us a call during regular business hours at 1-800-234-7832. But again, if you do have a general question about SVEC, please press 0 on the keypad on your phone. And we are just about ready to officially start. Again, thanks everyone for your patience. We have our President and CEO, Greg Rogers, standing by to answer your questions tonight. So last time before we get started, I'll remind everyone to submit your own question tonight. Please press 0 on the keypad on your phone. And with that, now it's my pleasure to kick off the meeting with SVEC's Board Chair, Bill Orndorff. Sir, please take it away.
All right. Well, yes, thank you very much. Good evening. Welcome, everybody. My name again is Bill Orndorff. I'm chairman of the board of Shenandoah Valley Cooperative Board of Directors. Folks, with Thanksgiving right around the corner, I'd like to take a moment to say how thankful that I am to have active members who help us better serve our communities by participating in meetings such as this. So thank you to everyone that's on the call for showing an interest in your local cooperative and helping to ensure that we continue to provide safe, reliable service at the best possible value. We're really glad to have this opportunity to answer any questions you may have tonight. So I'm asking that you stay on the line now for our SVEC President and CEO, Greg Rogers. Greg?
Yes, we'll go right to him. I just want to jump in quickly and remind everyone to press 0 on the keypad on their phone. And just a reminder, we cannot take account-specific questions during this call. So again, for more information about the cooperative and to stay up to date on everything that's going on, I'll give you our website. You can always visit us there, svec.coop or svec.coop. You can also read the Cooperative Living magazine and the monthly email newsletter, and follow us on Facebook of the co-op there. So before we get to your questions, without further ado, let's bring President and CEO Greg Rogers on the line. Sir?
Thank you. Thank you very much. I want to briefly cover a couple of topics that touch our entire membership, and then, as they've said, we'll answer some questions. So first, if you've been on these calls in the past, you've heard us talk about our community solar project. We're excited to finally say it is on the verge of being in operation in Shenandoah County. We will be opening the subscription process to the members beginning in 2024. Now, there is a monthly charge for participating, and the cost is associated with how many solar blocks that you pick to subscribe to. Community solar is a way for our members to contribute to SVEC's renewable energy mix without the upfront expense of panels at your home. And we know that in some cases, your location may not even be able to accommodate solar panels. So community solar fills that void for those of you in that particular situation. Please go to our website to learn more about the benefits of community solar and how to sign up. But in the meantime, to gauge the interest of this new program, we'd like to take a poll of our membership on this topic. If community solar is a program you would consider participating in, please press 1 at this time. Again, if community solar is a program that you would consider participating in, please press 1 at this time. Pause a minute while we're tabulating the results here. Thank you so much for that feedback. We appreciate people responding. The second thing I want to talk about is we are now several months into our advanced metering infrastructure project to replace meters at our members' homes. This project will take several years. By the end, we will have a system of meters with the best capability we've ever had to measure the demand for electricity on our distribution system. Contractors are out in full force. Currently, they're in Augusta County. They are in SVEC marked vehicles. It is our goal to contact members through a postcard before the contractors visit the member's property. Now, you do not need to be home when the meter swap occurs. Your meter upgrade will require only a momentary service interruption, and the entire work should take about 10 to 15 minutes. So thank you so much for listening to these remarks this evening, and let's see what kind of questions that you might have.
Great. Let's jump right in. We have John up first and then Zach, but another reminder, press 0 to submit your own question. John in Frederick, you're live right now. Please go ahead with your question.
Is it my turn?
It is. You're live. Go ahead.
All right. I just want to know one thing. If the power pole is set on your property, doesn't you all have to have my permission to set another line off of it?
Okay, thank you, John, for that question. That one is going to be hard to answer in an open forum, mainly because our pole lines have been built over many decades, and each property has a right-of-way agreement that's either associated with it or the rights that go along with that line being there over time. So the best way to answer that question is we'll write your number or your name down, and we'll follow up with you directly, because it depends on what particular right-of-way you have on the property, and where we're coming off of, how far we're going, whether it extends outside that right-of-way. So there's a lot of specific questions. So just like specific account information, right-of-way is one of those things where easements are one of those things where we really have to have the conversation individually to be able to answer the question correctly. Thanks. And we'll note your name and maybe give you a call.
Yes, absolutely. That's a hard question on a forum like this, but we do have your name, and thank you so much. We have Zach up next before Samuel and Russell. Great questions coming in tonight. Zach in Stewart's Draft, you're live right now. Please go ahead with your question. Zach, are you there? Do you maybe have us on mute?
Hey, I'm here.
Go ahead with your question.
My question is, I got a flyer in the mail the other day about the meter swap. How does that affect my bill, and do I need to do anything?
Okay, that's another great question, Zach. That is tied to the automated metering infrastructure that I made a comment on at the beginning, that project. So we are in the process of replacing our meters with new meters that do give us the capability to do more than just the measurements that we've done in the past. But you do not need to do anything, and the accuracy at which the meter collects the information will be the same. So it will not change either of those. It just provides a lot more information on what our members are putting demand on our system. So nothing you need to do. That outage or that we will stop by, the contractors will stop by, and with about 10 to 15 minutes, they'll do that swap. You do not need to be home, and that'll be done, and you'll notice no difference from your service perspective.
Excellent. Great. Thanks so much for that question, Zach, and for joining our conversation tonight. We have Samuel in Stanley up live right now. Samuel, you're live. Please go ahead.
Okay. With that being said, the last time y'all did a meter upgrade was like 2009, and I had a mobile home set up on my parents' property. How much more advanced are these meter heads compared to that? Because I mean, the last thing I heard when the meter head was put into my place at that time, which I no longer live there, but you guys had computer systems set up in the truck. You just had to drive by and got a meter reading from that point. So, I mean, how much more advanced is it than that now?
Okay, great question. Our original meter collecting system, which was an automated meter reading system, actually used power line carriers. So it basically transmitted the readings back over the power line that we had back to our substations where it was collected. Now, that is a great technology, and it lasted for a lot of years. We've actually passed the end of the useful life for those, and we're working through those as we change out these other meters. We're keeping the old ones to keeping the old system in play as we move forward. But the capabilities there were limited. About all we could get back was 1 meter reading a day, some added infrastructure. We could get a demand, we could get a voltage reading, but the readings we'll get off of these will be much more granular, more instantaneous, will allow us a lot more power quality information about the voltages that you experience at your home. Actually, some of these replace some of the meters that we would go out and put on a property should we be doing a service quality investigation. So it provides that already to be in place, and we can just interrogate it. So a much more robust system. The other system that we had did reach its end of life, and we are in the process of changing it out and actually doing it. It served us well for many, many years, and actually provided exactly what we needed at the time. But with the moving into the era that we're moving into, this additional information is going to be critical to us running the cooperative efficiently.
Excellent. Great clarification. Thank you so much, Mr. Greg Rogers. Thanks, Samuel, for joining our conversation tonight. We have Russell up next before Lauren. Russell in Winchester, you're live right now. Please go ahead with your question.
Good evening. Thank you for taking my question. I live in a new neighborhood in Frederick County outside of Winchester. Some of my neighbors have installed solar panels on the roofs of their homes, and I'm curious to know, tied to the solar project for the co-op, what is the advantage of doing the community solar versus installing individual solar panels on my home and selling power back to the co-op for any excess that we don't use?
Yeah, that's a great question. One of the things that community solar is very beneficial for is the fact that, say, people in apartment complexes or people in townhomes, people with limited property around them, not everybody has access to roof space or ground space that allows them to have on-site solar. So one of the big advantages of community solar is that ability to be able to utilize basically an off-site system, but still participate in the same renewable energy mix that other people are able to do. The other thing is that the installation of a solar install at your home can be fairly capital intensive. So it's a lot of capital up front, pays back over time, and those sometimes they're just outpriced for people to be able to do. Even with what some of the companies offer as a pay-as-you-go option, I mean, some of those are not conducive for people to be able to afford. So the community option really allows for everyone who can't participate in those other ways to be able to participate. I will say, if you are considering solar on your home, we do not recommend any one particular company that does solar on your roof, but we do appreciate if you call us up front. We have candid conversations. We have a energy program coordinator that actually can help people decide what the true impact will be on their electric bill, and we really want to make sure people understand and fully evaluate these systems as they put them in. Other than that, we just want to get the members what they want and help them advance the cause that they're after, and we can help do that. But we want to do that with making sure that you understand the buyback pricing and how all that works and how the net metering construct works. So thank you for your question.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for joining our conversation. We have Lauren up next before Carlisle and David. Lauren in Waynesboro asked that I read her question. Another reminder, you can submit your question just like Lauren did by pressing 0 on the keypad on your phone. And if you don't want to go live, that's fine. I'm happy to read your question over the air. Lauren again asks this: are there any days of the week or times where it is more economical to run your washer, dryer, or dishwasher?
What a great question. That is a great question. We have a program called Beat the Peak. And if you sign up for Beat the Peak, you get a notification when we're in a peak period. And if you get that notification that we're in a peak period, that means that energy rates are usually at their highest for that day or that period of time. And so that gives you that indication that if you delay running that dishwasher or washing machine, dryer, till after that period goes away, then the electricity overall will be cheaper. Now, currently, with the way we have the rate structured, that just helps lower everyone's bill, and so we ask everyone to participate and do as much as you can. There's no requirement, but if you are able to lower that, then you help contribute to lowering everyone's bill by controlling during those peak periods that may occur. Great question.
Yes, and thank you so much, sir, for that answer. Thanks, Lauren. Let's go to Carlisle next. Carlisle in Cremora, you're live right now. Please go ahead with your question.
Okay, I'm interested in getting a solar panel for a single house, but I live in the Augusta County near between Dooms and Cremora, and I don't think there's any big open lands for a lot of solar panels. So is there any way in the future, or should I just go ahead and look into the single one now, or you think there'll be a place somewhere in the future to put the one like you've got?
Great question. The community solar I mentioned at the beginning is actually tied to the cooperative as a whole. So even though it's located in Shenandoah County, it will be open to all of our members across the system. So if there isn't land available near your residence, or you desire not to put a solar site, invest in that on your own property, you would be eligible to participate in our community solar system that's going to be installed in Shenandoah County. So that is available to all of our membership through that process. And if you're interested in that, again, we'll be putting out a lot more information right after the first of the year. But if you want to do an individual home system, again, I encourage you to call in, ask some of your questions, make sure that you understand what that entails. We'll help you through that process, but we don't install those systems. You would then pick one of the contractors that are around, or one of the companies that are around to install them. But we do like to talk to people up front to make sure they're fully aware of what the impacts are and what we would expect that the impact on their bill to be. So we want to make sure everybody's fully aware of those and then takes it from there.
Excellent. Great information. Thank you so much. Again, your president and CEO of SVEC is answering your questions live on the line. Another reminder, press 0 to submit yours. Up next, we have David in Winchester. Also asked that I read his question. He says there have been many people who have elected to get a pole light on their property. At that time, it was $10 a month for the light of the pole. Now it's going up. Wants to know why is that? And then also west of Winchester, there's a giant solar farm. Wants to know, does SVEC have anything to do with that? And again, that's David in Winchester.
Thank you so much for that question. I'll answer the second one first. There is a large solar farm on the west side of Winchester. That one is not tied to SVEC. It'll be tied to the transmission grid and directly and go up onto the transmission grid, and is not affiliated with SVEC. As far as the streetlight questions go, we do evaluate as we do our rate studies. We do evaluate the cost of service for each of the types of service we provide over time, and basically the cost of those services are reflected back into the rates. And so some rates are impacted different than others. Really can't contribute anything directly other than the increasing inflation that all of us have seen across all materials, goods, and services would be reflected in any increase you might see. That is one thing that obviously we're at the co-op seeing the same pressures that everybody else is when it comes to elevated costs of goods, materials, and other things, other equipment that we use across the system, as well as other, any kind of incidental expense as well, all affected by the inflation that we continue to see in the world today.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, and thanks so much for that great question. Let's go to Jane next before John. Jane in Stanton, you're live right now. Please go ahead with your question, Jane.
Well, I'm pretty satisfied with the electric system out here, and they a while back I understood that they was going to put me a new meter in, and then they did. It's been out there for a little while, and so I thought, well, what are you going to do? You're going to put me another one in now and give me a better one and try to save on costs. And he put his own pole up and then got the electric also, Shenandoah Valley Electric. So I have a pole with a light on it.
Ma'am, I think maybe in your particular case, it might be good to take your name and have somebody call, and so we can truly understand and answer your question better. I apologize. I'm not sure exactly if we've changed the meter out. We've done that. I don't know if that was part of our. It sounds like it would be part of our AMI replacement. However, there are times from time to time that we do need to change our meters out for other reasons. So I want to make sure we give you a right answer here and not make too many assumptions. So we'll take your name and we'll have somebody follow up with you individually.
Excellent. Thanks so much. Thanks for joining us tonight. Jane, look for that follow-up. All right, let's go to John next before Jim. John in Frederick, you are live right now. Please go ahead with your question. John, are you there? You might have us on mute. All right, maybe John walked away from his phone. I'll go ahead and read his question. He says, I have my own solar system that's been in for about 12 years. He wants to know, how is the new meter system going to affect it?
Great question. The new meter system should have zero effect on that. It'll work just like the old one. It'll measure just the same relative to the power that's being utilized by your premise, net of what your solar system is supplying directly. So no changes to that. You should expect that everything should look exactly the same as you see it today in regards to that.
All right, excellent. Great clarification. Thanks so much. Thanks, John. Let's go right away to Jim next. Jim next in Winchester. You are live right now. Please go ahead with your question.
Thank you for taking my call. I was wondering if SVEC has any programs available for retired people on a fixed income or people on total disability. Thank you.
Yes, sir. Great question there. We are tied and connected with several groups across our territory that provide pledges in and handle those situations. They're not under SVEC umbrella, but they do work closely with us. And if people call in, we can give you a list of those organizations in your area, and you're able to call them and then fill out some stuff with them. And if you're eligible through their processes, they get the money back with us. So we do work with several groups across the cooperative, but none directly within the cooperative, but we work closely with them to help direct people in the right locations to where they might find some help available.
Great information and great question, Jim. Thanks so much for joining us tonight. Let's go right away to Brenda before we go to Paul. Brenda in Cremora, you're live right now. Please go ahead with your question.
Do you have to own your own home in order to do the solar project?
Great question. No, ma'am, you do not. If you are the one that pays the bill for the location you're at, then you can participate in the community solar program that will launch early in 2024. So you do not need to own your own home, and that is another one. I didn't mention that. That's a great add-on, as not only maybe not having the property to do it, but maybe not owning the property where you're at. That's another great opportunity for people to engage in the community solar as an opportunity for them to be involved with the renewable mixed fuel. So great question, and no, ma'am, you're fully eligible to engage if you are a member and paying your electric bill.
Great news. Thank you so much. Thanks, Brenda, for joining us. Let's go to Paul before Abner and Chris. Paul in Mount Solon, you're live right now. Please go ahead with your question.
Hi, thanks for taking my call. My question is, how efficient is your vegetation management group and contracted foresters in terms of identifying potential danger trees to reduce outages? Kind of noticed in my area that there's more outages or brownouts in the last year or so. And is Xylem your only current contractor for veg management?
Again, great question there. We do have a robust system, veg management system. We rely on veg management professionals in all of our districts that monitor our veg management program. Our veg management program consists of several different facets. One of those, the main facet you mentioned, is our on-the-ground contractor that provides basically trimming and right-of-way cutting out of the ground and out of bucket trucks. And that does our base program, and that's done over a rotation of a circuit over a multi-year period, 6 to 7 years. We rotate around to each circuit. We have a second facet that once that's done, we follow up with a spray component, which helps keep the vegetation growth down on the right-of-way specifically until we can get to that next rotation cycle. And then the third component is the aerial saw, which allows us to cut from a helicopter in those areas that are hard to reach and hard to get to with mechanized equipment, and then we just have to go in on the ground and clean those up. That balance between all those programs is done to maximize the ability, the efficiencies to cut with the cost that it takes to cut. So we try to match, again, like I mentioned with the aerial saw, we try to match the type of cutting with the effectiveness in that area. We're not going to go through the middle of a subdivision with the aerial saw. We're going to go up onto the mountaintops and some of the harder to reach lines, and that helps maximize that and keep your costs down while maintaining a good vegetation program. So I feel like we have a really great program here. They are affected from year to year based on growth cycles and some of the growth that we see based on the moisture and the rain in the area, the growth season that the trees are seeing. So that is affected a little bit, but I believe we have a really solid program that we manage very closely to not only manage it to keep your outages down, but to keep your costs down as we do that.
Excellent. Thank you so much. Thanks, Paul, for joining our conversation. We have Abner next before Chris and Raphael. Abner in Rafine, you are live right now. Please go ahead with your question. Abner, are you there? Do you have us on mute?
Yes, I'm here.
Great. Go ahead. You're live with our CEO.
My question is about what is the plan of solar farms within our Shenandoah Valley Electric cooperative area? Is it taking in consideration the amount of agricultural farmland that's going in to possibly put a solar farm over top of what is agricultural property? Because I'm right here at the Rockbridge County line, and just about 5 miles from us in Rockbridge County, they have taken a very productive dairy farm out of production and are putting a solar farm in it. And I just have concerns of where we're putting solar farms up, and I'm wondering if Shenandoah Valley Electric is taking consideration of taking agricultural properties out of production just to put solar farms up.
Thanks, sir. That's a great question. And I'll tell you, this is one of the things I am most proud of. Shenandoah Valley Electric Cooperative is rooted in the agricultural community. We have our roots there. We came from there. And the community solar project that I mentioned that is up in Shenandoah County was a big consideration. The site of that was a big consideration as to the land disturbance that project may occur. And minimizing that land disturbance, we went to great lengths not to disturb any land that wasn't necessary, and we made sure that the land we did disturb and use for this was not that was the best use of that property versus the agricultural use. So we're very cognizant of that issue. We're very in touch with that issue, and anything that Shenandoah Valley does, you can basically take to the bank that we are going to consider all of those ramifications as we make decisions here in our beautiful valley. So I am very proud of the way we approach that, and I think that we have a good balance between land use and where we stick our solar facility. So thank you for that great question.
Yes, and thank you so much for that answer as well. Let's go live to our next question right away. Chris in Mount Jackson. Chris, you're live right now. Please go ahead with your question.
Yes, sir. I think that most of my questions have been answered through various other questions, but there is still, I live in a very remote area on the top of the mountain, and I'm wondering, is the solar, this program going to be accessible to me way up here out in the middle of nowhere? And if so, at this point, my bill is on average maybe $50. Is this going to affect my bill? And if so, how much of an increase am I going to see out of this program?
Great question. Your location will not matter. So again, anybody as a Shenandoah Valley member will be able to participate. Residential member will be able to participate in the program that we have for community solar, and basically the generation used to provide the energy that you use would come from the solar facilities that we have. So that is not affected. As to the cost, I would like to refer you to call in to talk to one of our member services, because this is basically when you do this, you're basically choosing that type of fuel mix, and it comes with a block cost, and that can be advantageous to sometimes and maybe not as the market for power fluctuates. So I would rather have you call in and have a individual analysis done on that. It's not really done from a cost savings perspective or a cost increase perspective. It's really done from that's what you'd like to participate from a fuel mix perspective. And so I think it's important for you to, if you're trying to do it for one of those other reasons, to have a better understanding before you engage.
Great. Thank you so much. Great information. Great question, Chris. Let's go to next. We have Raphael up next in Winchester. Raphael, you're live right now. Please go ahead.
Thank you for this evening's town hall, and thank you for taking my call. My question is as follows. On July 16, 2021, former Governor Northam signed a $722 million bill for universal broadband internet access by 2024. And All Points Broadband had partnered with Shenandoah Valley Electric to bring that broadband service to rural areas and homes such as mine here in North Winchester and Whitehall area. What I'd like to know is what's the current status of this project, and where can we check for status updates in our area? Many of us are still using our phones for hotspots, and so it can be difficult. So hence the question.
Okay. As far as the broadband projects go, we as the utility, the main utility in the area, along with obviously Dominion in some of the areas, but in your particular area, we're the utility in that area. We are working with all the ISPs, including, you mentioned, All Points Broadband. We're working with all of them, and basically we're ones working to make the poles ready to accept the line that the ISPs will put up to serve broadband. So we are not directly in the broadband business, but we are working closely with all of our ISPs across our territory, and there are many that are working to get internet in areas where there may be already internet or in places where the people are unserved, both. So we continue to work on all those. It's a priority. It's something we have put a huge amount of resources to. In addition, separately, we're doing our own backbone project of fiber, which is helping us interconnect our substations, which is unrelated to the broadband, other than the fact that we will have some excess capacity that would be available to any ISP who decides that they want to use that and may help further their ability to serve the people that you mentioned. But right now we work with all ISPs. It is a monumental task given the money that's been put on these projects, and we continue to work closely with them to try to make these projects successful as they expand in our territory to our members.
Great information. Thank you so much. Again, President and CEO Greg Rogers answering your questions live. Thanks, Rafael, for joining our conversation. Reminder, you can press 0 to submit your own question. We have great questions coming in tonight, great participation. We have Shannon before Brandon and John up next. Shannon and Lorraine, you are live right now. Please go ahead with your question.
Good evening. Thank you for calling. Every winter, I have a tree. There's a power line that runs across the state road from my pole here on the corner of my property over across the road. And there's a tree that kind of sits, it's technically my neighbor's. It's kind of an evergreen type tree, and the limbs are very heavy. And whenever we get wet snow or ice storms like we've been getting lately, these branches are very heavy and they lay on this line that stretches across the road. And I live in mostly fear that that's going to eventually snap because it's happened before. Of course, when it does, I have no power. And I was just kind of wondering, I had called probably 6 or 7 years ago, and no one really called back or followed up on it. So how do I go about maybe putting in a help ticket or something to straighten that out?
Yeah, great question. And yeah, you can call our 800 number that was given at the beginning and put in a ticket. People who participate in this call, we do get a list of those that asked questions, and so we can try to follow up with as many as possible. But I would ask that you just call in, and they will create a service ticket, which will likely result in one of our veg management professionals in your area to come out and take a look at the situation. If it is something that's causing immediate impacts, as you mentioned, then we will try to take care of that. If it's something that we feel can wait till that next cycle, we try to do that mainly out of a cost perspective. And so there is a balance there, but if there is issues related to reliability, we take those very seriously. And so we'll come out and make that judgment as to what to do. But again, if it would be easiest if you just call in our 800 number, tell them the situation just as you've explained it, and they'll create a service order ticket for somebody to contact you and discuss the issue that you have there.
Great. Thank you so much. Thanks so much, Shannon, for joining us tonight. Let's go to Brandon right now in Fishersville. Brandon, you're live. Please go ahead with your question.
Yes. My question, I have a two-part question. My first part is, with the way that everything's going up in prices, will SVEC start in the future a payment plan or something to help people that are struggling to pay their electric, their utilities? And the second part is, I have a solar farm that's going in less than a mile away from my house and wanted to know if that was connected with SVEC or not.
Okay, from what I can tell, you're in Fishersville, Virginia, so no, there is not a solar facility related to SVC in your territory. There are lots of solar across the system, as I mentioned, but that one is not related to SVC. The one related to SVC is the one that we have in Shenandoah County that I mentioned earlier. Your first question is really that one is the best helped by calling in and talking to a member service. We do have options relative to budget plan and those kind of things that could be evaluated for you to see if that plan may work better. And that works as kind of a payment plan. It works as kind of a levelizing aspect, so it uses averages. And so it's best for you to call in and have them translate to how that would help adjust your bill to be more levelized and maybe not be so impactful either in cold winter months or hot summer months, depending on what is, what the most effect on you. So I would encourage you to call in, talk to one of our very knowledgeable MSRs, and have them share with you those options that might be available to you as a member.
Great information. Thank you so much. Thanks, Brandon, for joining our conversation. All right now we have John before Patrick, Mike, and Sandy. John is in Cross Junction. Asked that I read his question. He says, the load management devices on the water heaters were supposed to be removed, and he wants to know, is that still going on?
Simple answer to that one is yes, that's still going on. We're working through the process. We have several contractors working throughout the territory, and they're contacting members and scheduling those to get out to your home. So the answer to that is it is still ongoing. If you have any questions about that, feel free to call in, and we can make note of that. But it is a long list, and we're working through that process, and so we will be contacting you as your area comes up for our contractors to address.
Excellent. Great information. Thanks so much. Good clarification. Let's go to Patrick right now in Winchester. Patrick, you're live. Go ahead. Patrick, are you there? Do you maybe have us on mute?
Yes, I apologize. I was on mute. Thank you so much for taking my call, and thank you very much for doing the Q&A tonight. I just wanted to laud you for all of the efforts and to see how soon it would be possible for me to sign up my house for both the meter replacement and to have access to the community solar project. And I live in downtown Winchester, if that helps.
That's great. It will be open to all members at the same time. It won't matter what territory you're in. It's great to hear your excitement about the project. We're excited about it going in, and it should be very soon at the beginning of the year, right in the first part of 2024, that you'll see the information come out and let you sign up for that. Keep an eye on it on our website if you're available to do that, or call in from time to time. But it should be really early in 24 that program becomes available for people to sign up for. Great
Excellent.
question.
Thanks. Yes, thanks so much, Patrick. We have Mike right now before Sandy.
What's that? So there's a question online. There's a little bit of a technical issue here. Hopefully you can still hear me. There's a question about how we secure personal information that may be stored on our computer systems. And I will tell you, here at the cooperative, we take cybersecurity very, very seriously. We have several levels of protection. In these forums, I've been asked about those before. I in my opinion, very wisely don't share what our solutions are, as we like to keep those private to make sure that we continue to keep those as safe as possible. But please know that we do take every bit of safety. We make sure all of our systems are up to date with all the current security protocols and make sure that all of that information is held safe. We monitor any kind of access that may be occurring on our system and make sure that we continue to block those as necessary. We also do other testing to our system to make sure that it cannot be penetrated. So as most people know, this is a very important part of the entire country right now as far as the protection of valuable information, and we hold it in very high regards and take it very seriously. So I'm hoping that that answered your question.
Excellent. Thank you so much for jumping in there. Definitely why you're the president and CEO. And if anybody's wondering, Yes, these calls really are live, and technology sometimes jumps in our way. Sorry about that, everything. Thank you so much, Greg, for taking that on. Mike, I apologize we didn't get you live. Let's go to Sandy next in Gore before Jan. Sandy, you're live right now. Please go ahead.
Hi, thanks for this opportunity. I'm curious to know if the new meter will have the ability to separately measure for electric vehicle charging, and would that be itemized on the bill? And then I have a second part to the question, but do you want me to go ahead and ask the second part?
Yeah, go ahead.
I'm sorry. And the second part would be, does SVE install these hookups, or are the hookups for the electric cars put through as a third party? Like, would I have to get a contract?
Great, two great questions there. The second one I'll answer first. We do not install anything for use of the member behind the meter, so those would be done by you. We do ask, however, any member who installs any significant load on their side of the meter as an upgrade or as part of the process, we really like to know those things. They help with our planning. They help us keep our reliability high by knowing exactly what we have out there. So if you do plan to put an electric vehicle charger, especially level 2 or greater, in your home, please call us and let us know you're doing that. But we do not install those. We still do like to know to make sure that there's no upgrades that are necessary to be able to support that additional system, whether it's an EV or any other kind of electrical project that you have at your home. The answer to the first part of the question is no, the meters do not distinguish between what is using the electricity. It would be able to measure that more electricity is being used at different times, and so that may open up some options for us in the future as to how we might utilize that. But we cannot currently, there's no technology that we have that ties a specific electrical vehicle charger behind the meter to our system to let us know. So that is where we stand right now, but it does allow us to know that, say, hey, more energy is being able to use overnight, or more is being used in the evening when the car gets home, but we have no idea as to what is using that electricity. We just know that there's a large load on in the evening or maybe overnight.
Excellent. Great information. Thank you so much. And Sandy, thanks so much for joining our conversation tonight. Let's go right away to Jan before Luke and June. We're going to try to answer as many questions as we can tonight, so we'll keep plugging. Jan, you're live right now. Please go ahead.
Am I
Jan,
live?
are you there? Yes, you're live. Go ahead.
Okay, I gave my questions to an operator, so I'll go ahead since I'm live. I think you just answered one question. I was wondering whether the new readers would read the residences that used a lot of energy from instant hot water heaters versus conventional. Another one I had is, are these meters capable of cutting the electricity off to your house for non-payment? I have some rental houses. And the third question basically is, if electricity is cut to a rental house, is it possible we can arrange it so the homeowner knows? That's all. Thank you for the conference.
Yes, sir. Thank you for your questions. The first question about the instant hot water heater, the thing about our system, we can't, again, tell what you're using electricity for, but we know when there is a high use for electricity. And on our distribution system specifically, the components on our distribution system have a rating, a capacity. And so the more that is used at one time sets how big that equipment has to be. So sometimes if it's used over time, we can use smaller equipment than if it's all used, say, at once and sets a demand. So those are critical factors in determining what our system needs to be sized for to be reliable. And so, yes, these new meters, as well as even our existing meters, are able to measure the demand, the highest level of usage that might occur during a period. And that helps us size our equipment properly and make sure that we have the right equipment out there to give you the most reliable service. The second question is, yes, several of these meters, not every meter goes in with that capability, but we do have capability that saves us truck rolls to disconnect. That doesn't have to be just for non-payment. That could be for any reason. You mentioned rentals. There are a lot of rental properties that change hands and may stay vacant in between time that may want to be turned off. A lot of those go back into the landlord's name. So I would say if you had any of those kind of situations, again, it's much easier to call in and talk to a very knowledgeable MSR about those specific cases, so you get the right information on those. But yes, some of our meters will have remote capability, and that saves us rolling a truck. For whatever reason, a service may be disconnected, both when it's disconnected and when it returns. So it not only saves a lot of time in that factor, but it saves cost, which lowers our costs for all members across the system as we have to disconnect and reconnect people. So good question.
Yes, great answer, too. Thank you so much. Thanks so much for those questions, Dan. Let's get Luke live right now in Frederick. Luke, you're live. Please go ahead.
Okay, thank you. Thank you for taking the call, and say good evening to all the members out there and Mr. President. You kind of touched base a little bit on this community solar project. And maybe I'm a simpleton, or maybe I'm just a bottom line kind of guy, but I think we'd really like to hear the non-political answer here of just exactly what does it mean to the members out here for this thing. If we sign up for the community solar, is there actually going to be a cost savings? What does it cost per month, or however you can regulate that? Since this thing's going to fire up in 2024, I'm sure that all the algorithms are in place, and you guys already know the answer to this. As far as I guess this is part two, putting a new meter on the side of the house, I don't think anybody really cares, so long as the cost per kilowatt hour don't go up. That's what's important to us, the customers out here. So this whole thing, the community solar program that you plan to have coming up real quick, is there a cost savings per kilowatt hour to the customers? And as far as the meter goes, like I say, I don't care if you stick an elephant on the side of my house, so long as it don't cost me more. I don't care. Anyway, that's it. Thank you.
Thank you for your question, sir. As I mentioned earlier, the community solar or any solar aspect is really a long-term decision by the member themselves. We look to provide the options to our members who wish to engage in that renewable mix. If you buy through our standard energy services, then that comes with a mix of energy that is based on our power supplier that has all different types of fuels, including renewables, included in that. So it's more about you wanting to be involved with a renewable source and do not have the capability to either maybe financially or spatially put those on your home. So it is an option for our members. I think if it's going to make sense financially, you're probably going to have to call in and get a real evaluation done by our MSRs, but it is probably a decision that is more about what fuel mix you're looking to utilize for your footprint than anything else. And then for those that don't want to engage in that are okay with the fuel mix that we have in general otherwise, then they have those options to use those. And so I think I saw as part of your question, does it impact everyone else? No, it does not. Basically, if for those that want to engage, they can engage, and those that don't, just follow the standard process for us. Great question.
Absolutely, and thank you so much Greg. Let's go right away to our next question from June before Blanca. June in Shenandoah, you're live. Please go ahead.
Okay. You said you're going to put in new panels out here. You know, does that mean that they will not come around and check the meters anymore, and it would automatically run across the line to the office for what our usage is? And if also too, if the power goes out, does that mean that y'all will know about it without us having to call you by changing it over to new system?
Good questions. Yeah, we will replace the meters. They do have the capability to say when a meter is out or not, but as we get used to the system and actually make sure that we understand all the reasons that a member may or may not show that they're out, we continue and encourage all members. Even if your neighbor is out and you're out and you know your neighbor makes the call, it's very helpful for us to have, if you have time, call us to let us know that you're out as well. That helps us isolate it on the system. These meter systems, as we engage them and mesh them with the systems that we have, we'll have capabilities to do more in that area, but probably never going to have me stand up here and say, if you're out, I want to know about it. I don't want to necessarily rely on the technology. I want to use the technology to advance our ability to do it quicker and more efficiently. So I'm going to ask you to continue to report those as best you can. So I think that answers your question.
Yes, great information. Thank you so much. Let's take a few more questions. We're going to sneak them in here. Blanca in Winchester, you're live right now. Please go ahead with your question.
Hi, good evening. So what I'm understanding about the community solar program is that it's not only for townhomes or condos, it can be for single residential homes. And are these solar panels that are going to be installed, is it just, I heard something about Shenandoah County, but will it also be available in the Winchester city? And when, is it beginning of 2024 when we can sign up for the program? And is there going to be information via mail, or how do we find out more about it? My other is it basically instead of going with a private company that does the solar paneling, we have the option to finance it through the Shenandoah Electric Cooperative?
Yes, it really isn't financing so much. And first of all, I'll answer the first part of the question. If you are a residential member on Shenandoah Valley Electric Cooperative, you will have access to this program regardless of your location. The solar facility we have there in Shenandoah County hooks to the grid. That's available, and the way that's all tracked is through the grid system. So you have access to subscribe up to our subscription limit from that solar facility, and that'll be there. Now, that's totally separate from anything you may do at your home. And so basically those blocks of solar will be priced, and that is what will be announced right after the first of the year. And you can join in and basically decide if that's the right thing for you. If you have location and the means and the location at your home to do solar, then I encourage you to call in and talk to us about, what savings you might see there, what type of system you're looking at, those kind of things. We want to make sure all our members are fully educated. Again, not to steer them one way or the other. We just want to help them get what they desire out of their systems, whether it be us helping through the community solar or you deciding that you need to, you would like to have something directly at your home. So hopefully that answers the question. Early in 24, don't have an exact date, but it shouldn't be. They're really working out the final things on the solar site, and we're hoping that really early in 24 you should see some information. The website's probably the best place to check, but if you don't have the ability to do that, obviously a phone call to any one of our knowledgeable MSRs will always be available to you as a member.
Great information. Great question, Blanca. Thank you so much. All right, next up, let's go to Hoa in Stevenson. As I read his question, goes like this. When you cut trees down and spray the ground with chemicals, do you make sure it's not toxic to animals or people? And again, that's from Hoa in Stevenson.
Yeah, great question. The chemicals that we use for spray are very safe for people, animals, and they've been, qualified as that. And we take special care to make sure that they're handled appropriately regardless. But we do come out, and that is an important part to keeping the cost down on our vegetation management program, is to make sure that undergrowth in those off years, as we move from one yearly cycle to another, we keep that growth down to help us from benefiting that. But yes, ma'am, that is a chemical that is safe for animals and people.
Excellent. Thank you so much. And with that, we have reached the end of our allotted time, but don't hang up yet. I want to let everyone know that Shenandoah SDEC will reach out to you if you've submitted a question tonight. We tried to take as many live as we could, but be on the lookout for that. And also, you can stay on to the very end and leave us a voicemail message. If you do that, make sure you leave us your name and contact information so we can reach back out to you. And either way, with next week being the holiday, it might take us a little bit longer to reach back out to you, but keep an eye out for that. And my goodness, we had such great participation and such a great conversation tonight. Thank you, everyone, so much for being with us for this last hour, for your great questions, and for listening in. It was a pleasure spending this time with you. Thanks, everyone, so much. Have a great rest of your evening and a good holiday week next week.